Hello, before we get started today, I do want to cover something very near and dear to Kevin's heart: cats. And more specifically, Kitty Bungalow's Charm School for Wayward Cats. It is a community cat organization and kitten socialization facility where they focus their attentions on providing services to the most vulnerable of felines. Their cats and kittens come from the mean streets of LA and Southern California, whether it be directly from TNR, pulling them from the local LA Animal Services, or working with their remarkable rescue partners. Not only do they do that, but they also provide free TNR services, which includes fixing, vaccines, flea treatments, and being returned to the people that care for them. They intake hundreds of underage kittens and cats each year and make sure that they provide them secure outcomes via their adoption program. With all that being said, if you wish to support them, the link to their website, kittybungalow.org, will be listed down below in the description. I plan on, whenever I do make my trip to LA to get more footage for the documentary, I do plan on taking a day, if possible, and volunteering at Kitty Bungalow and truly understanding what it means to follow their mission statement. And lastly, you can also check out my sponsor and good friends over at Pop Soap, who lead the soap revolution. Link below, and discount code will be below as well for their soaps, oils, and everything in between. Now on to the episode. Hello, welcome to Animaze, the stories of Kevin Seymour. I'm your host, Aramis, and we have another director's log for you, whatever number this is. I think this is 8 or 9, somewhere along that block. Everything's good. Where to start? Well, I'm back from Jersey, had a good old fun time up on the East Coast. Got to, just get some work done. No audio this time, but I had a lot of fun just meeting new people and just getting to work, making the money, and being able to put food on the table. With that being said, while I was up in Jersey, I ran into Paul Mercier. Hopefully I did not butcher that. Love you, Paul. And Paul actually does intersect with my list, specifically for the Dot Hack games as Bear, and then, of course, a bunch of probably Walla and other background characters from shows like Ghost in the Shell, Standalone Complex, and a bunch of stuff in that era. So, PS2 era games and anime, so mid-2000s. And what's funny, when I showed him the shirt, had him sign it, a lot of stuff flooded back in. The memories of all the smoke, the Thai food. His story to add, funny enough, and I'll tell it here, is whenever they were recording, Kevin would have, I don't know what it's called, but essentially he hit a button and makes a noise. And he'd have these pre-programmed with a bunch of sound bites from a bunch of different shows. I'm assuming some stuff from The Simpsons and a bunch of other stuff Kevin enjoyed. And whenever a take was done, he'd hit one of those buttons from behind the booth, which is funny as shit. But I loved seeing the light in Paul's eyes, talking about it. Of course, the love of, he'd be like, what was it? I was like, Thai food? I was like, Thai food! Just in the fact that is something that continues to carry over. If Kevin was nothing, he was a consistent man. His loves were very consistent across everybody that he interacted with, and I love that, because every time somebody mentions it, it just reinforces other people's statements. With that being said, though, Paul didn't do much with Kevin, not a lot compared to some of the other actors on my list, but the fact that he even said a week before I met him, they were driving by Maggate, which is, I want to say, Laurel Canyon Studios. And whenever he would drive to go there, they would take I don't know if it's turnpike or an exit or whatever, and he literally drove by it the week before the Jersey show, which, call it fate or whatever, but I find that kind of funny. God, it's one of those days, I tell you. But no, Paul was really sweet. He signed the shirt, and we talked a bit about Kevin. We actually had a really long conversation after the show, which was really cool, and he honestly gave me a really good idea about the shirt, because my original idea with the shirt was to just have it as kind of a memento piece. But after talking to him, and he mentioned it's like a spider web, which I already knew it was, but one actor looks at it, he sees all these other actors, and it just spirals and spirals and spirals. And it gave me that realization that I want this front and center. So moving forward, this shirt is actually going to be the planned cover art for the documentary. Whenever it's all said and done, the front and potentially the back, if I'm able to get enough names, will be the documentary's cover. And of course, I'll edit it to fit a proper rectangle, but I think that is the best way to honor this, is just having a piece that is made up of the spider web of people that worked with Kevin at different points of his life. So that's my update on the shirt. That's a story from Paul, who, really cool guy. He's only done, I think that was the second show. I'll be seeing him in a few weeks, potentially in Orlando. We'll see if I'm still slated for that one. I should be. But we'll see. You never know with this world. What else? Interviews. I know I'm going to start holding some of the interviews back explicitly for the documentary. I think I mentioned that in the last update. I do have a few potentially coming up. I want to give a thank you to Quint Flynn. Really cool guy. Might have gotten a really good lead. As of recording this episode, it actually made me have to redo one of these loops because of that, because my phone went off and I got really giddy. I'm gonna admit, I got giddy because it's one I've been trying to get a hold of for a while, and I know the material would be invaluable for this project. I think the next thing I want to talk about is the website, the archive. So I've been trying to nail down and just finish up the standalone complex one. I want to say it's about 95% of the way there. I have most of the cast done. I'm trying to get all the screenshots for the credit lists. I might just put the page live without those for now and then add them later. But once I get the crew set up, have all the names and the pictures line up, I'm going to go ahead and put that one live and mention it on Facebook. So I can get nitpicked if there were any incorrections. That is a word now, incorrections. If there's any incorrect information that I need to fix. In regards to what I've been watching, research, the whole likes, I got a whole backlog of old Worth Point items that I still have to dig through. I know I had a few sent to me that I still have to dig through. I haven't had the time. I think I used this week to just kind of relax after running ragged. I wanted to spend time with my son and just catch up on things. But now that I'm rested, recouped, and raring to go, I've been tearing through 3 to 4 different animes at the moment. On one hand, I have El Hazard, which I'm watching with my wife. We're having a grand old time with that. Thank you, Leah and Michael, for recommending those. They are a riot, and I'm looking forward to finishing those out because, honestly, I just want to watch them. Like, they're that good. Second one I got running, of course, is Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex Second Gig, which is Season 2 of Standalone Complex. A side note, I am also watching the new Ghost in the Shell, I think the director for that one's Lucian Dodge. Really cool guy. I've met him at a few shows. A main cast is completely new. And just my 2 cents on it right now, just to get it out of the way. I love Susie's interpretation of that major. It's a much more lighthearted, more akin to the original manga. And it is a different major. It's supposed to be more like Mimi's major, the original Ghost in the Shell 2 major, but of course more akin to the manga. I think Susie brings that character to life. Bato, though, I love Richard too much. I love Richard Epcar's Bato. So hearing somebody else try to do Bato, it hurts a little bit, but I want to give it a few more episodes. I know they're releasing weekly, and I want to give that actor more grace before I give kind of my final review on that. And then, of course, the rest of the cast has been pretty solid. I especially love John Bentley's Ishikawa. It sounds like Ishikawa never left. And I love John Bentley, super sweet guy, super just kind human being. Every time I see him, he gives me a hug. The whole 9 yards. He's super cool. With that being said, though, let's see here. I mentioned Ghost. I mentioned El Hazard. Last two I have on the docket right now. One of them, I'm just trying to fix my audio issue on my old school CRT, and that is Orgus 1, because I already finished out Guyver, which I know I never did a review on, and that's because I am still trying to find that. I keep on saying I'm still trying to find it, but I don't want this podcast to just be reviews on like the story. You know, if I don't have stories from the production, then it's harder for me to talk about it without sounding like every other channel. I want to talk about how the dub sounds to me. If I hear any stories from any of the actors, I want to mention it. I think I'm going to start clumping some of them together so I have more to talk about per episode. And of course, shorten the run time so it's not an hour, maybe anywhere between 15-20 minutes. And I'll just talk about a few of the ones that I watched. I know the episode I'm trying to work on right now with my friend is for Perfect Blue. I'm trying to get some questions answered. I sent a list to Les on just some of the audio stuff. There was a few interesting things that we noticed with the English dub that we would love an answer for before we talk about it. And if we don't, we'll even mention in the episodes that we have a question about it. But it's always fascinating, hearing the English and then listening to the Japanese, and you see that some stuff, lines, songs, even some sound effects are replaced for the English version of it, and what is decided on and how something's supposed to be decided on. And lastly, just to get it started, I do want to rewatch Cagliostro, specifically, of course, the Animaze dub. Love the Bergen dub. I need to watch the Epcar dub, but I need to watch the Seymour dub again because I do want to talk about it. Those animes in particular, Akira, Lupin, and Appleseed are some of the ones I have to be really careful with because they have 2 to 3 dubs in English, so I got to make sure whatever material I'm pulling is correct because they always like to mix and match, and I don't want to credit the wrong actors for the wrong version, etc., etc. One final recap, because I do not want to keep this episode going longer than it has to. First, as I said, I'm back. I'm working on stuff. To hell or high water, I will be getting the Standalone Complex archive page up with as much evidence as I can. I still have interviews lined up for the documentary to get my footage, but with everyone busy with shows and gigs and theater productions and all sorts of stuff, I'm on their time. So just patience. Honestly, that is the name of the game with this project. Being patient, being persistent, but don't be obnoxious. And it will happen. And so far it has been happening with those words. Physical archive's coming good. So I got a few more things recently gifted by some friends. Got a few Funkos I think I got a Blackjack Funko, which is pretty cool. I got a Tachikoma plushie, which I mentioned in my last episode. I also got a Street Fighter Funko, the Retro 8-bit one, kind of as a bookend. Let's see here. Show schedule. I will be at Anime Matsuri at the end of this next weekend in Houston, Texas. And a few names on my board include Richard again. I'd love to see him. His wife, Ellen, I believe, is slated for that show as well. Both Steve Staley and Steve Prince are also slated for that show, which I've met them before, but before this project was even a thing. So I'm excited to touch base with them if I get the opportunity, if I'm not busy working, because work does come first. And then, of course, I think there's a few other names on there that I've already met. Like, I think David Vincent's going, all that stuff. After that one, I currently have slated NostalgiaCon Orlando as an audio technician. I believe that is still the case, but you never know. After that, I am planning on going to a convention in my hometown, Collecticon San Antonio. Most likely to attend, but I got a few things lined up for that. And then lastly, just to slate out 4 weeks in advance, I have Colossal Con Texas, where I will also be audio engineering. Other than that, this year has been phenomenal. I know I have not released as many episodes as I've wanted, but I think I said this in a few updates ago. I don't want to just release content. That's not what this is about. I want to be able to collate something that people actually want to listen to and I want to talk about. I just don't want to talk about, how I felt about, Perfect Blue. Like, yeah, I'm going to talk about it with my friend, and that's going to be a lot more interesting, him and me talking back and forth. But I want to talk about, potential casting choices about it. I want to talk about delivery. I want to talk about any stories I know about it. I want to talk about potential looping difficulties that could have happened or matching mouth flaps. In the Ghost episode, I mentioned how difficult it is sometimes with older footage to check mouth flaps, if they exist or not, depending on the footage that you're being provided. That's the stuff I want to deliver for that part. And for this podcast, it's slowly turning more into a journal, which I'm okay with. If I'm here just talking to a mic for 15 to 20 minutes about what I've been up to, where I'm at in the project, what I need, then that's honestly makes me feel more comfortable in delivering what I want to deliver. I want to feel comfortable with my voice when I edit. I want to feel comfortable. I want to feel myself. I don't want to feel plastic. So that all being said, I believe I'm near the end of the runtime that I allotted for myself, because I could babble on, and I did this whole joke before last episode. With that all being said, thank you all so much for listening, and I'll let Kevin take us away. Thank you so much.